So I'm so glad you're all here, and without further ado, my dad, Jen Wolf.
Those who know me well know that I am very rarely speechless, but that's a hard act to follow, I have to say. So Zoe, thank you. Also take a minute to recognize my oldest daughter, Stella Wolf. My youngest daughter, Ruby Wolf. And of course, my wife and the mother of those three wonderful daughters, Heidi Schutz. It is funny, for those of you with kids, it's funny to hear their perspective of what went on at the dinner table and then think back about what your perspective was. I mean, I remember a lot of food flying. I remember a lot of screaming. I actually remember a lot of running around the table, both from and after those children. But it is a blessing to have raised three daughters, and it's been a blessing to be with Heidi now for close to 30 years. And if you wonder why somebody like me would get into politics, if you listen to Zoe's speech, and if you look at Zoe and my other daughters as representatives of the generation that's now in their early 20s and coming of age, and then those of us who are my age think back a generation of the conversations that we were having in the 60s and 70s, what we were passionate about, what we were working for, what was going on with the majority of the people in this country, the opportunity, the hope, the actual sharing of prosperity that was going on in this country back then. And you fast forward it to the world that we're about to hand off to that generation, you just got to stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, this is not what we thought we were doing. This is not the world we thought we were building for them. So I met my wife Heidi. She was a chef at a restaurant down on the Cape. I said, this food is amazing. After one night when the restaurant closed, I sat there hoping that I would meet the man or woman who was making that beautiful food. Now came Heidi, and we had a few drinks, and it was, for me, love at first sight. It took me 6 years before I convinced her it was love, not quite at first sight. But we started to build our family down on the Cape 30 years ago. About that time, after having gotten out of mechanic school to become an aviation mechanic and being a pilot, started Cape Air a few years later. And by the way, so that makes Cape Air and my daughters about the same age. For those of you who are engaged in the Citizens United thing, I've never actually confused my daughters with Cape Air. Human Beings Corporation. Wow, you actually can tell the difference. A generation of growing that company while the family was growing, starting with 6 employees, ending up today with over 1,000 employees. Cape Air is a global company. We serve destinations now all over the world. Has been an amazing journey for me. And I think the reason I got into, and Susan, I really love the fact that you said public service. The reason I wanted to become a public servant was because I did pull my head up several years ago. I think that was because the kids were getting a little older, so that there was less chasing and there was more time to be contemplative on bike rides and stuff, and say, wow, in spite of the fact that we've achieved some incredible success with our business, in spite of the fact that we've shared it both with our employees and with the communities that we serve and done the right thing, the world has actually gone in a really different direction. We've continued to concentrate wealth. We've allowed public policy to be driven by special interests and by money instead of what's really healthy for us as individuals, families, and communities, and it isn't right. So for someone who has the capacity and the opportunity to step forward now and really dedicate the last third of my life to handing off something that we really can be proud of as a generation. The governor, one of the things that I loved about Patrick during his tenure, and he really was one of my inspirations getting into politics, was his term, generational responsibility. And I think not only is there a generational responsibility, but there's also a generational legacy. And I see legacy as an opportunity for us. But this really is making this democracy work for more people. It really is about using our economy as a tool to deliver the vision of the future, not allowing our economy to use us as tools to deliver in next year's annual report. That's what this is about for me. So, the other thing you learn about me is you got to put a hook around me to get me off stage. So I am gonna wrap it up. That's what this is about for me. And I am going to bust my butt for the next 18 months to really have this conversation in as many living rooms and with as many people and with as many business people, because guess what? I am the pro-business candidate. Nobody is going to out-business me in this campaign. No Republican is going to lecture me about job creation or about what corporations can do. The one thing I'm going to ask of all of you, some of you are scratching your head and thinking, do I want to support this guy? Because I know some of you are here just for the breakfast and wondering who this guy is, actually. I am Dan Wolf, and I am running for governor. I'm going to ask for this. I'm going to ask for your help and support, your vote when the time comes. But before that, introduce me to as many people. Give me as much opportunity as possible to have this dialogue around the Commonwealth. Not only will we run a successful campaign, but we will literally change the Commonwealth, and that will be a beacon for the rest of the country and ultimately the world. I do think big. I do believe that. I really do believe that. And you can be an important and exciting part of that. And the other thing is, when you see me and I look like I need a hug, I do. This is going to be new, it's going to be hard, it's going to be draining. I feel already supported and buoyed by, first and foremost, my family, but by so many of you that I'm already blessed to be working with and have worked with. I see a lot of familiar faces who have been involved with us for the last several years on the Cape, and I thank you for being here. It's not easy to leave Cape Cod on a Saturday in July. You know, all we think about in February is Saturdays in July. So I know how challenging it was to get here. But thank you. I look forward to addressing the entire group in a couple of hours. This was a great warm-up for me because I've never spoken in that kind of forum, so I'll just give the same speech all over. Thank you so much for being here.